what's up gang? Brian here, Brian's Law Maintenance. Trust you guys are doing well. Hey, wanted to do a final thoughts and review video for you guys on the Maruyama BL 9000 backpack blower. Let's check it out. Alright guys, now we've had the BL 9000 backpack blower from Maruyama for about a month now. By the way, I want to say a big shout out and thank you to them for sending this unit out to us for review. Now guys, I'd love to give you my final thoughts, maybe some tips and ideas regarding the backpack blower, and just overall where it kind of lines up in the lineup for the pro-end, top-of-the-line backpack blowers for us lawn and landscape professionals. Now I'll make sure to leave a card at the end of this video because I am going to do a four-way comparison between the BR700 from Steel, the Echo 770T, and then also the Redmax 8500, which are the leading blowers in this class. Let me give you guys some of the stats so you know what the details are for the backpack blower. Now this is their claim to fame that they are the world's first 1000 plus CFM backpack blower. This is moving 1018 CFM and also 225 miles per hour at the tip. So this backpack blower is an absolute beast. It's an absolute cannon. It's a 79.2 cc engine and the price point is just around $600. Now if you're in the market for one of these, let me give you guys my opinions and just some of the ideas that we've been able to come up with while using this thing. First off, I am extremely impressed with how the unit performed. Actually, the week we got the backpack blower, that's when those flood rains were coming through up through Missouri, and we were supposed to get some of that as well. So the very first day that we used the backpack blower, our goal was to get all of our lawns done that week in a 3-day work week because we were going to get rain all day Thursday and Friday. So we did cut 97 lawns on Tuesday and Wednesday alone. And I'll tell you guys like a friend, that was the first day that we were able to use that backpack blower. And if it wasn't up to the challenge and it wasn't up to the test and it wasn't fast enough, by all means, I wouldn't have been using it. I would have threw it in the truck or my shed and we would have got back to it. What I'm trying to say is I felt like this was as good as the Redmax backpack blowers I'm used to or any of the other backpack blowers we've had access to. I was definitely impressed with how it moved wet grass and just grass clippings in general. In terms of comfort, the parachute straps sit up high, they're nice and thick. Now the fuel tank itself is 71 ounces. And I'll tell you like a friend, this thing absolutely drinks gas just as good as the Redmaxes and just as good as the BR700. That's over a half a gallon of gas tank that you're gonna be having on your back. And you know what? You're gonna go through that by the end of the day, no doubt about it. All right guys, one area for improvement that I wanted to make was I wish the padded backing was a little bit more ventilated. This is like a soft foam and it honestly feels great on your back. I have no qualms about that. I just wish you could have that air conditioning feel that some of the other competition has kind of built into their backpack. But nonetheless, not a deal breaker. It's just kind of a personal preference thing. Let's talk about the tube and the handle. The tube itself is probably about 4 feet long. This thing is absolutely crazy. It is a little heavy for what it is, but I do understand that you have to control that large air volume and that miles per hour that's coming out of there. So the larger tube does make sense for it. Rumor has it that Maruyama is working on the tube to make it a little bit more lightweight. That way when you're moving it back and forth all day, you don't feel as fatigued by the end of the day. The tube itself does have a telescoping design, but it's one where you have to take the tube apart and then clamp it a little bit more or release it a little bit more to get that extra length. Let's talk about the handle. It is a more comfortable handle than some of the other brands out there. I do feel like it's a little bit more ergonomic and it just makes sense with how it's positioned. You do have a hard plastic nut here that is going to tighten it down and clamp not only on the tube but also the position of being more forward or more back. The cruise control button, this is a big stickler for me. Some of them don't do as well as other brands. This cruise control, you can push it all the way down. It stays down. You don't see it riding back up like some of the competitors. So I am impressed with the cruise control. One thing that I don't like as much though is the kill switch. It looks kind of like a helicopter firing button here or something. Unfortunately, it isn't the type where you hit it once and it kills the unit. You have to hold it down for about 4 or 5 seconds, which is a little thing, but it's a little big thing because that can be annoying when you hold that button down and you think it's going to be killed, you throw it off your back, and then it starts back up really quick. Again, it's a little thing, but for me personally, I like the type where if you hit the button once, it kills the unit. That way you're not stuck with it starting back up when you're already throwing it off your back like I mentioned. All the brackets and the elbow, they have done really well. I haven't had the blower tube pop off or anything like that once we clamped it down tight. So they did a great job on the elbow. If you guys can see again up top, you got the parachute straps. I love the design. They actually have it mounted up top and not just down here, so it does stay up a little bit higher. I like that. It's gonna be a little less fatiguing on your back, where you won't feel that by the end of the day. I'm gonna flip it around to the front again, and I'll do a close-up if you guys can't see this. Now, I don't know if it's a conspiracy against all backpack blower manufacturers, but none of them have rings or clips that last. They all have really flimsy hooks, and they all bust within a month or two, and I can't stand it. I always have to use zip ties or little D-rings that I get at the hardware store to put it back together, because these little clasps, they just don't last. It's kind of a major wear point, so I'm surprised that most manufacturers don't invest a little heavier into some nicer clips, but nonetheless, not a deal breaker. I just think that's a little area for improvement. The last area I wanted to talk about was the hard plastic base. I like how it's a little bit more oversized and it's a little thicker. That way you can actually get your work boot on it. You know, when you're ripping that backpack blower off the ground and you're pull starting it, you want to make sure you have that leverage. I like also the fact that it's a little bit wider than the way the gas tank is. That way it's protecting it a little bit more when you're slamming it on the ground, on the driveway, or in the trailer. Obviously, that's another major wear point, so I'm glad it's oversized and it protects the backpack blower as well. Alright guys, let me give you my final thoughts and ideas and we'll wrap this review up. Now I'm going to encourage you guys to check out the 4-way blower comparison video, because I'm going to go into this a little bit more in depth. But the number one issue with buying a Maruyama is going to be, for me, dealer support. If your equipment's not running or your equipment's broke down, it's not going to do anything for you. I think right now the competitors to Maruyama have that advantage, and that's something that these guys are going to have to work on. For example, I don't want to go work on my lawnmower at one dealer and then have to go across town to get parts or service at a Maruyama dealer. What that means is you might have access to Echo, Steel, and Redmax 20 or 30 minutes away, and because Maruyama might not be available for 30 minutes away, 60 minutes away, because it's a different brand, not as large of a name brand yet, I think it's going to be a small issue that they got to work on with offering better dealer support. Now, again, that's a growing pain. It's not a slate. It's something they're going to work on. As the word gets out and Maruyama's picked up at more dealers, I think it would be an awesome addition to any dealer's offering, because it, quite honestly, is a powerful, bad-to-the-bone backpack blower. I think in the fall, when we do our leaf test, it's definitely going to prevail. I'm curious if it's going to take the crown from the Steel or the Redmax. You guys are going to have to make sure you're subscribed so you can stay tuned for those tests. Alright guys, that's pretty much it on the BL 9000 Maruyama backpack blower. Again, thank you to those guys for sending it out to us for review. I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate all of you guys who have subscribed and helped our channel get on the map so we can have companies like that send product out to us to review, to give you guys an honest review and an honest feedback about how it's going to perform in the field. Again, I'm going to encourage you guys big time to check out our comparison review video. That way I can go into depth about comparing it to the other competitors in its class and which backpack blower is going to be the best one out there and which one takes the crown. Alright guys, if you have any questions or comments about the backpack blower, make sure to leave them down below. I'm curious if you guys are interested in adding any of the Maruyama backpack blowers to your fleet, if it's something that you guys have your eyes on, especially for this fall when we all do leaves and leaf cleanups. Definitely leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching me, Brian, and Brian's Law Maintenance. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe, and guys, we'll catch up with you soon.